Kia ora and welcome to another episode of The Leadership Lounge, a space for healthcare leaders to stop and pause, get a moment of reflection, fresh perspective on the work that you're doing. I'm Katie, I'm your host. I've worked in healthcare for over 30 years and I get to work with leaders and their teams so that they can feel supported and encouraged and inspired about the work that you do every day in the healthcare setting. So this week, it's been really interesting. So for those of you that follow me on Instagram or that see my regular videos that I put on my Facebook page or my LinkedIn profile, you'll know I have a regular-ish walk around a local park. And this is one of my well-being habits. It's good for my physical stuff. It's also where a lot of my ideas come to me when I'm walking. And it's a special place of healing and it's just lovely. So regular having this walk. And I was walking the other week and seriously, it was hard. I thought everything ached. It was really pretty tough going. But what I noticed and what was really not funny, was that everybody was walking faster than me. I mean, seriously, everybody was lapping me almost on the walk around the park. It just felt like people were speeding past me. Even people that were slow walkers were walking past me. It just really stood out, really noticed that I was the slowest person there that day. And so that kind of it made me giggle, this idea of that everyone's lapping me, but B, it kind of made me think, okay, so what? Okay, what do I need to do with that if I'm feeling like I'm the slowest person on the track? And it reminded me of those days that you'll definitely remember and recall, and I maybe having one right now, where you just think no matter how hard you are trying, no matter how much you are trying to make progress or getting work done, you're just getting nowhere. This idea of trudgery and slogging, and that it is such hard work. Because seriously, that walk was just like every step I took felt like a big effort. So those days, that's that feeling I'm talking about. And what do you do when that's what it feels like, and everybody else is zooming past, and I've got this and I've got that, and I'm doing really well? All there's other people, and you're like, why can't I be like that? Why can't I walk that fast? Why can't I manage my meetings or my emails and manage my team? And why can't I do all of those things? So those kind of, that kind of memory came up for me, and that kind of feeling that you can get. So what do we do with that, if that's where you're at, or those the memories that you're getting about some days? So where I started from when I'm walking was, I really just concentrated on the fact that I could walk. I could, regardless of my aches and pains and all of this kind of stuff, I can still get out there. And so I was just hugely grateful, because I really know that some people can't, for whatever reason, the list of reasons that people are limited or don't have access to a park, or don't have the freedom to be able to do it. There's not the peace or the safety to do it. So there was just layers and layers of gratitude that I had for not only the setting, the context, the world that I'm in, the privilege that I have, all of that stuff. So I think it can really be a good sombering and humbling reminder about how much we actually do have. And I probably started walking a wee bit faster, maybe a little bit more of a bounce in my step, when I realised how lucky I was to be there, to be on the track, to be in the park, to just be there. So while it can feel odd to go, at least I've got a job, at least I've got this, at least there is a team, at least, there's the at leasts are not great in terms of empathy. I'm not a big fan of when you use the at leasts for empathy, but it is a humbling reminder when you're thinking about how awful things feel and how terrible it all is, to just take stock of what you do have, and the privileges that you have, and the spaces that you can inhabit. It references probably back to what we were talking about last week in this idea of your circle of control. Gratitude for me is always, and it's been increasingly important to me as I've got older and various life things have happened, to be that lifter upper. It's not the panacea. I'm not talking about me Pollyanna and positive about everything. It's the thing that lifts me up off the floor around how tough things can be sometimes. Gratitude shifts your energy. It shifts how you're thinking about things, how you're looking at things. It shifts your perspective. So I'm a big believer in the power of using gratitude as your foundation. So having got that sort of space of gratitude and realising the fortunate nature of my being able to walk around the park, the next thing that came to mind was this idea. It was a phrase that I used to use when I was running, and I probably a couple of years, it's probably now 3-4 years ago, that I was regularly running. It was quite exciting because I never thought I'd be a runner, and I was never, when I say running, I was never a runner. I was a slow jogger, really. But it was running to me. And one of the sort of the mantras I used to use when, again, I would be the slowest runner out there was, no matter how slow you're going, you're still moving faster than someone on the couch. Now, reflecting back to that privileged space, the fact that we're even lucky to be out there on the track, this is more about a mindset and an attitude. This was more about the fact that I am here. I have decided that walking around a park regularly is good for me for a list of reasons, and I'm going to get there. And on that particular day, I could have very easily stayed home, stayed in bed, stayed on the couch, done nothing, sat and read, all those other things which are all valid, But I got out there and I did something. It was a very, very slow walk, but it was a walk. And this is a fine line, and I love walking these fine lines because I think that's what life is all about, right? So I totally believe that there are moments when we do need to rest, without a doubt. That pushing myself out there for a walk, if I had a streaming cold or whatever thing, or I'd just broken a leg for something, that rest is important. But there's also this idea of grit, isn't there? That idea of I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep trying. And I might only do just small stuff, but I'm going to do something. And I think this is that real, when you've got a whole load of work on, you've got 20,000 projects that you're supposed to be doing, the emails are coming in, the priorities are changing every day, you've got another restructure coming and then another restructure, your team doesn't know what's going on, you're not sure if you're going to have a job or not, the list goes on, right? When there's all that stuff going on, it's okay, let's just do one thing. Let's just do one thing that's going to help. I once worked when I was a service manager, and that was one of the toughest jobs I've had in terms of managing the enormity of the workload and some of the conflicting priorities and all of that kind of stuff. And my boss at the time said to me, she said, whenever you're on your to-do list, just look at one thing and just get one thing done. And make it really simple. Make it really easy. If it's just posting a letter to somebody or just having a glass of water, just do that thing. So this idea that the small steps matter, even when they feel really slow. So it's that part that those small bits of effort every day are going to add up. They're going to contribute, if it's be from a mental well-being space, from a progress towards a goal space, from a just being there and showing up. Those small steps make a difference. So regardless of how slow I was walking, I was out there walking. I was doing the thing that I had said was important to me, and that was a goal between the fact that I don't want to just become a sit, work at home and not ever be able to move my hips again sort of person. So this is important to me, and I was out there doing it, even if it's really slow. So again, rest is important. You've got to be able to know those differences, and this is why I spend a lot of my time when I'm working with people in teams, workshops and things, that permission to stop and notice how you are feeling and what is going on for you, and what do you need in that moment. And that can have a lot to do with the work that's put in front of you. So some days you can rest, other days you've got to go, you know what, I can't miss that meeting and I can't miss that. I have got to be there. But you can still go, okay, so what do I need to be able to show up for that? So it's this idea, I'm off topic slightly as I do. So it's this idea of being able to notice and take the right action for you in that moment, or the best action for you in that moment. So rest matters, but small steps make a difference. So those small things, and I believe when we think about the enormity of the work and the change and the stuff that needs to be done, I'm thinking about the amount of trust that needs to be rebuilt, the amount of understanding that needs to be created. That's going to take time. So those small steps will make a difference. So what's the one thing you can do? What's the small step that you can take, or the slow step towards where you're going? Yeah. So then the third thing that came to mind, I love it when I always have a list of 3. It kind of fits with all those stuff. Sometimes I get to 4 and I go, oh, can I make it 5? But anyway, this time it was a 3 list. And it was this idea of, as I was noticing people that were running past me, I noticed that they would get a different view. They would see things differently because they're walking at a different pace. They're going to get to the journey before, they're going to get to a different part of the park before I do, so they'll know things, so they could give me a warning if there was a tree down. I'm getting extreme in my examples here. So all of us walking at different paces is actually kind of cool. And when we put that into a healthcare setting, I am, frequently, I'm sorry if this sounds like I am beating this drum frequently, but it's this healthcare delivery and leading in healthcare is a long game. This is not a competition. It didn't matter who walked around the park the fastest. There was no prizes. We were in this for a whole load of reasons. And in healthcare and in the leadership section, we're in it for a shared purpose. I really hope that we've got some core reasons why we are leading in healthcare. And you're in that together. It's collective, it's collaborative, it's not competition. So if somebody looks like they're managing XYZ, that's great. Cheer them on. That's fantastic. Because they're going to be able to be doing things, seeing things, and we're actually in this together. And it touches, I'm no expert when talking about diversity, but I think it's one of those introductions to the fact that we can all, having teams that work at different paces can be useful. And I'm not talking about, they never meet that deadline that they're supposed to meet. That's a different conversation. I suppose I'm thinking in terms of how we approach things, how we think about things. Have you got the quick fire person that's going to go do and run and get half of it done? And you've got the other person that might be a bit more reflective about, hey, how about this and how about this? There's value in all of that. And when you're leading, you can tap into all of those type of things. You do sometimes need to act really quickly, and other times you can be more reflective. The wisdom comes from knowing when to apply which tactic to which situation. And the joy in work comes from when you're using the team's strengths and abilities in a way that lights them up, so that you're actually making the most of those different ways that we approach, the different ways that we think about things, get things done, or communicate with people, all of that stuff that we do. So there's value in both the person that's going fast, getting around the track quicker, because they're going to be able to tell us about different things, they're going to look at different things differently. But I was also noticing that, lots of trees in the park, and I'm like going, I will see that tree differently to that person that has gone past it quickly. I will see something different. We'll both see something different. And when we grab a coffee and we're talking at the end together, oh my God, there's a phone going off in the background. We've never had that one. That's brilliant. Okay, so that was quite interesting because I've never done a pause while recording, and I thought, what do I do? There's a phone going off, not my phone. So I learned to pause and then restart, because I'm not into the whole editing stuff. You get this conversation, And secondly, I'm going to check next time I sit down to record that there's no phones in the room that are not mine. That was Adam's phone ringing delightfully. Anyway, where were we? This idea that as I was walking past the trees, we're back in the park now. Shake it off. And people are going to see things differently. And so when we grab the cup of coffee together at the end, we can share those different observations. Hey, I saw this. Oh, I saw that. Oh, that's cool. Because we're both looking at the same tree. I hope you're really following this analogy. And we can then build a better understanding of that tree. Oh, Lord, I'll tell you what I need to do. I need to make better switches to a healthcare example. But take a high-level picture. We can talking about change. So there's a heap of change going on all the time. So whether it be big restructure, whether it be how we work on a ward, whether it be about a document that we're using. So someone's going to look at that in one level and think about it in one different way and see it from a certain angle. Another person is going to see it from a very different angle. And the joy in work comes from sharing those together and realizing that not one or other of you has got the right or the wrong angle. You've got different angles and you need all of them. So that's that diversity around how are we looking at things? What are the lenses that we are using stuff? I get I've been quite passionate of lately around hearing stories about nurses and allied health professionals being not included in initial conversations about whether it be service delivery or improvements. And it's kind of like, oh, we can bring them in later. It's like, yeah, but it'll be too late. And I'm not talking about the sort of the tick box diversity. Yeah, have we got one of these? Have we got one of these? Have we got one of these? It's about understanding those different lenses and how do we get those? And they're more powerful than we realise. So we've got shared purpose when we are leading in healthcare at that big scale around things. And that's a good conversation in its own. And the different ways that we can do things, look at things, the different paces, whether it be the different perspectives, whether it be the skills or the strengths that we're bringing, that also makes it magical. And it's using those, celebrating each of those, cheering each other's on if someone does look like they're doing really, really well. It's not a competition, it is a collective journey. So there you go, from my slow drudgery walk round the park where absolutely everybody was walking faster than me, to these three things that I kind of pulled out. Gratitude, how that is the foundation, how remembering how delighted I was to be there, even if I'm walking slowly. And then the fact that the slow walk mattered, the small steps matter, so that I'm out there, I'm trying, I'm doing, I'm showing up, I'm making progress towards something. And that actually it's no competition. When we're leading in healthcare, this is a long game, it is a collective journey. And that we can celebrate the differences that we all bring. People that we're like, I would never walk like that, or I would never run like that. You know what I'm talking about. We can celebrate that. It's not a competition. It's a collective journey. I think the way to sort of wrap all that up is actually to come back to gratitude again, and maybe more in the space of appreciation, and whether that be appreciation for yourself and what you've done, but also for that appreciation of what others bring into those spaces, and acknowledging that, celebrating that, and letting them know, letting people know that who are supporting you, who are cheering you along, that appreciation. So there's my three sort of big insights from my slow walk. I have failed in the podcaster's rules yet again to mention either the idea of clicking follow or like or writing a review, which I would love it if you did that. That would be really cool. And the other thing I failed at is the prompt and the reminder for you to sign up to the No Jedi email, the bright spot in your inbox if you're a healthcare leader. I had some lovely feedback from last week's email around that it just was the right time. I just needed to be reminded of that message, and someone who said something really beautiful about the fact that it's so nice to get leadership messaging and leadership advice and tips that are not bound up with productivity or finances. So it's that recognizing that you're bringing you into this space, and your job as a healthcare leader is big, and there's a lot to it. And these are the parts that I share in the weekly email. So there you go. There's the little plug for that. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Leadership Lounge. We are beginning to get close to the end of the year, and I have got something really excited kind of teed up for next year for the podcast, and a sort of an evolution of it, and different tactics, something that a lot of people have been asking about and are keen for me to do and evolve. So again, going back to my idea of the small steps matter, I took a couple of small steps in understanding a bit more about what that could look like this week. So really exciting about next year and the Leadership Lounge podcast. So do click, follow, sign up to the No Jedi email so that you don't miss out on the new evolution of the Leadership Lounge. Have a great week. Take care. Have fun. And remember, you're probably doing better than you think you are. See you next week.